Hello, all. It's David, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about the 12 storytelling types. They have been organized in the past a little bit differently into three different groups, and I have organized all 12 together in this circle that goes around my head. You'll notice that there are three different colors, and the idea is that each of the colors represents a grouping of the storytelling types according to their tendency to the way in which they are used. So the three different groups are starting types, maintaining types, and closing types, meaning that in your storytelling, and truthfully, when I say storytelling, I'm talking about whenever you're talking, conversations, lectures, interactions, and then straight up storytelling. The yellow ones here, architect, tender, reformer, and poet, they tend to be the classic storytelling types, modalities, I should say, that are used to start a conversation, a story, a lecture, what have you. You've got your architect that likes to have it all, have the world all laid out, to let everybody know exactly what's true, where are we, what's going on. Whereas the tender, over here, tends to be more feeling driven. You start with a feeling. You tend to start with a tenderness or a sense of affection, how the world is affecting you, and then it's the feeling that launches you into it. Whereas the poet is more interested in starting something with the aim of creating a beautiful thing, so aesthetically driven. Let me get that first line just perfect. Let me get that entry into the conversation just so gracefully done. And the reformer has an agenda. So there is something that's not right. The reformer will enter into the conversation or enter into the story or enter into the presentation with the statement along the line of, okay, things are not right, but I have a plan. And then they can get into the next part of the story, which would be the maintenance. You've got to get through the story. You need some special energy, quality, modality in order to get all the way through. And so those are the blue ones here. So you've got your essentialist, your hero, your lover, and your author. And you can see that there's some overlap even just with those names. So the essentialist is going to is interested in simplification, keeping things straightforward, thing to thing to thing, making sure that it's true, each one of those things as you go, and no more than you need. So the essentialist might, so say you start with the architect, you've got your world planned, and then the essentialist will get you through the story or get you through the conversation by some real pithy, essential statements. Whereas the hero is more interested in the adventure. Not quite sure where the story is going, not quite sure where the conversation is going, but there's going to be drama, there's going to be interest, there's going to be thing after thing, action, 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 action. And so constant discovery and surprise and excitement. Whereas the lover, like the tender, is going to be following the feelings. The lover will be navigating this story with their heart, often with a sense of affection in terms of the classic use of affection, like sweetness, that tenderness, even that kind of sympathy and empathy with the characters. Or if you're in a conversation, the lover will engage in the conversation with their feelings and be genuinely interested in the other person, whereas the author is going to take full responsibility for this story. It's a sense of responsibility, and whatever happens next, it is mine. This is my story. It's not a greedy thing. It's a responsible thing. I am the author. It is mine, and that sense of responsibility is going to take me all the way through to the end, which is where we reach the red ones, the destroyer, the point, the sage, and the wizard. The sage and the wizard are similar in that they like to end a story with a nice little gift. So the sage is more interested in a gift of truth and morality and sort of Aesop's fable, and the moral of the story is this. And whereas the wizard is more interested in getting it right. There's a difference there. So the deep mythological truth would be the sage, whereas the wizard would be more scientific, would be more mathematical. If I'm going to tell this story, I want to end with it being accurate. When a wizard casts a spell, it's accurately done. So the wizard would close out with accuracy and precision. The point is very interesting because it's more about getting the whole story touched on. So the point is in the middle, and all the different signals going out in the different directions that you've collected through the course of the story. We mentioned this, we mentioned this, we mentioned this, we mentioned this, and in conclusion, the thing that connects them all is this. Not so interested in it having like a deeper truth or an accuracy, that's fine, but just tied up nice. Just everything has been touched, and the point touches everything. Now the destroyer is the one that is the one that brings the most confusion to people. Nobody wants to wreck a story in the end. But the idea is transformation happens in the end. Total surprise, total revelation. What we thought the story was, it turns out it was something completely different. There are some filmmakers that are great at being the destroyer, where you're going through and you think it's one movie and then suddenly, oh my gosh, it's a totally different movie. Horror movies can do that. So the destroyer is actually a really fun one to play with. So you tend to have one starting modality, one maintaining modality, and then a different closing modality. So you tend to have a triad, 3. However, the ideal as a storyteller and as a communicator is to be able to access all 12, because any given moment, as a presenter, as a speaker, as a storyteller, as a teacher, as a parent, there's going to be one of these that is the best scenario for that particular listener. And so I encourage you to take all 12 up, and in future videos and tutorials and written down, I will get more into depth on the individual storytelling types. Okay, have fun.